Recording studios have been dominated by grand pianos for over a century. It was the classic piano sound, and when digital pianos became a huge hit in the 1990s and 2000s, it was those grand piano sounds that we were hearing, even on $500 and $1,000 digitals. It is the classic tone that everybody is used to. But more recently, we've seen genuinely good uprights start to make their way into the recording world. And it's a completely different tone. As an upright lover myself, I couldn't be more thrilled to see this new palette entering the recording world. But there's one piano that has really caught my surprise because it's not some $100,000 German instrument or the very, very best from, say, Steinway. It is in fact the Kawai K-800. So on the one hand, I get it because there's a lot of people who consider this instrument to be the best upright that Japan makes. And so the value and quality is just going to be outstanding. But on the other hand, Kawai isn't a brand that you see as much in recording studios. So in today's video, we're going to have some fun. Not only are we going to cover what this instrument is all about, but we've got two stereo wireless microphones, and we're going to play around with multiple mic placements and figure out exactly what the best combination is to record this instrument. Hopefully, people at home are going to come away with a great sense of what this can do musically, whether it's for personal use or in a recording studio. Let's get started. So before we get to the recording testing, let's just quickly run through what this instrument is for anybody who is not already familiar. So the K-800 is an all-Japanese product. It's from Kawai. Kawai is one of the world's largest and most recognized instrument makers, and certainly their specialty continues to be acoustic and digital pianos. Now, the K-800 is a relatively new model. Now, I say relatively because new models don't come out in the piano industry very often. So this is about 10 years old, which to the piano world is still kind of relatively new. It is about 53 inches in height, so slightly larger than what is considered the standard full-size upright, although you'll see manufacturers put anything out between 51 to 53 inches in terms of their full-size upright piano. Now there's a few things about the K-800 that make it different than the rest of the K-series. One is that they're using Royal George felt for their hammers, even though Kawai themselves are still manufacturing the hammers. That's wrapped around a mahogany core. As you can see, it's also double felted. So in Kawai's mind, this is a slightly more premium version of the hammers that they are putting on the instruments such as the K-400 or the K-500. In addition, the K-800 uses an extended scale design. Obviously, the height allows them to get extra length bass strings and an extra large soundboard in there. So not only is the soundboard area bigger than what you're going to find on any other Kawai upright, but the length of the bass string is also extended by several inches. Another thing you find on the K-800, which you do also find on the K-500 and the K-600 for those where you have that available in your market, is treble duplex scaling. Duplex scaling is become fairly standard on mid and high range grand pianos. It's still quite unusual on upright pianos, and the K-800 actually offers it up. This is going to thicken the treble and add an extra layer of color to a lot of the top half of the instrument. The length of the key sticks on the K-800 is also a little bit longer, so the way in which the key feels and behaves in terms of front to back is going to be a lot more in line with, say, a 5.5 foot to 6 foot grand piano. And the quality of the solid spruce soundboard is also going to be in line with what you'll find on Kawai's GX series grand pianos. In addition, that soundboard is going to be tapered rather than being an even thickness from center to edge. The instrument, as you can see, is also using Kawai's Millennium 3 action, which uses a combination of both composite carbon fiber reinforced materials as well as natural materials such as wood and wool. But now, let's get to the fun part. So there's a lot about the K-800 that does make this a really interesting recording piano, particularly for its price. Now, no doubt this is not a cheap instrument, but when we're talking about instruments that have the depth and the character to be versatile enough and professional enough to work in a studio, K-800 actually is on the cheap side of things. Now, one of the things we heard right at the end there was the sustain, and the K-800 has an insane sustain length. I would have to say that this is in the top 3 or top 4 sustaining upright piano models I've ever played from any brand. And when you listen to it, I mean, we're way up into like the 30-second range, which is almost double what you can expect out of a $30,000, $40,000 grand piano normally. There's such a nice shimmer, and what I really like beyond just the duration of the sustain is that it's even. It's not like there's only one part of the tone that's sustaining that long. You can actually hear a lot of artifacts from the top, the mid, and the low, and they're all nicely balanced through that whole sustaining arc. And we're still going. A second thing I really like is that the bass has a lot of warmth, and definitely you can get a lot of projection out of the bass, but sometimes when you push a bass range in an upright piano, particularly a larger one, you get this almost thud, almost this muting effect on your lowest strings because they're just too thick, they're too tubby to really project well and be clear. The K-800 manages to avoid this, and largely just because of the length of the string. You put a longer, thinner bass string at the bottom of your instrument and you are definitely going to get a clearer tone and one that doesn't have that tubby attack. And the last point that I'm going to make about the instrument being really ideal for studio use is the control that the action gives you in the lower dynamic ranges. Controlling an upright's action in those lower dynamic ranges can be quite challenging. And I think Kawai's done a nice job with the geometry of this action to make lower dynamic control quite real, effortless. You don't really have to think about it, and it's nice and even. So in a studio setting, when you have all sorts of different pianists coming in with different playing styles and experiences, you don't want to have them spend half their creative energy adjusting to an instrument. So now we're going to start moving the microphones around. I'm going to do my best to keep playing things the same so we have a true A-B comparison. And let's truly find out what the best mic placement on this instrument, at least in this room, is. So there you have it, 4 different mic placements. I would love to hear which one you thought sounded the best, which one would be the most versatile and most enjoyable. And thanks for watching the video. For today's kind of celebration of the upright piano making a re-emergence or initial emergence into the world of recording. They deserve it, they're amazing instruments, and I hope you've had fun. My name's Stu Harrison, it's been Merriam Pianos on YouTube. Subscribe if this is the first time you're checking us out. We'd love to have you back. We'll see you again soon.